I'm Luke Searveld. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Gaffer. If you follow me on Instagram or follow John Roche of Gaffer Salon or Andrew Locke of Gaffer and Gear, you may have seen that Andrew, John, and myself were invited to visit the Nanlite Nanlux factory in Shantou, China. Shantou is on the southern coast of China to the east of Hong Kong. Now, you might wonder, why would this successful company invite a bunch of low-level gaffers / influencers to travel all the way to China? I had the same question, and I asked Andy, their head of business development, in an interview that you can find in the next episode. We flew into Hong Kong and then took a high-speed train to Shantou. It's about a 2.5-hour train ride away. Shantou is on the ocean and is clustered with 2 other cities. There is construction everywhere. You have the feeling that city growth is continual. At the moment, they're building a connecting train network between the cities. Nanlite and Nanlux are under the umbrella of Nanguang. If you haven't already, check out the wonderful overview video produced by Cine D from a trip there in early 2024. I'll put a link below. Now it's January 2025, a year later. The 3 of us got a very warm welcome and then a tour of the factory where the parts for lighting instruments are fabricated and assembled. Here they're making the molds for the injection molding machines. And here are row upon row of CMC machines. There are floors for Nanlite, floors for Nanlux, areas for assembly, areas for QA, areas where they test the units in dark rooms and round chambers, point source units, panels, and tubes. They have robots moving product around and empty floors with plenty of room to grow. It was very impressive. Nanguang is a fully vertically integrated company that even puts together its own cardboard boxes, and now also has a line of hard plastic travel cases. These are the injection molding machines. We toured the fabs and the larger campus that includes the administration building, where information is collected, designs take shape, decisions are made, and marketing initiatives come into being. We also checked out the dormitory where many of the people who work on assembly live and eat. On the days we were on campus, our lunches came from the same cafeteria. Keeping 1,000 workers busy and fed, as well as housing more than half of them on campus, is a feat in itself. But to us at least, everything proceeded in a calm, purposeful way. We were shown some of the upcoming lighting units that are still in demo form. It was an opportunity to provide feedback, of course, but more than that, it was an opportunity to take the pulse of the company, the vibe, if you will, of the place and the people. The young women in the admin teams are kind of sweet on Andrew because they track every word he says in his videos. So we made sure to make him blush for a group photo. The next day, the 3 of us sat down for an interview. It was an opportunity for Andy to ask us about what captures our imagination and what we look for from manufacturers and the tools we use. It was sort of a continuation of the panels the 3 of us did together at Cine Gear 2024. Every night we were in Shantou, we were exposed to a wide variety of local dishes. Certainly a lot of seafood, but also beef hot pot and delectable vegetables. One evening, we visited the kind of restaurant where you pick from live creatures. The tables were always round with a lazy Susan in the middle. We were often joined by Nancy and Andy, Shirley, Risa, and Camel. The big snail. Yeah. The breakfast buffets in mainland China at the Howard Johnson Hotel and the Eaton Hotel in Hong Kong were chock full of variety as well. I'm an adventurous eater. I'm open to almost anything, so it was a lot of fun. One thing I noticed was that there's a lot less sugar in the dishes and the desserts in China than what I'm used to in a North American diet. I took that as a good thing. One afternoon, we drove a ways out of the city of Shantou to visit the rustic set of a short film being shot in the hill country. They were burning a couple of Evoque 2400s from a ways away. We also saw tea being grown and banana trees. It was out there, but we always had cell reception. And speaking of which, my iPhone that I have with AT&T worked fine. When we were on Wi-Fi, the VPN gave us access to all our usual apps, except Google Maps, which only worked in Hong Kong. The weather was not unlike what I'm used to in the San Francisco Bay Area. In fact, at this time of the year, it was warmer in the south of China. A nice bonus. Our last day was a whirlwind of sightseeing, an amazing lunch, local electrical craftsmanship, ladder action, pottery wheels, Andrew meeting Australian neighbors, random goofing off, LED light shows on buildings, and a final goodbye from our Nanguang hosts. After 3 days in Shantou, it was time to head back to Hong Kong. But we were accompanied by a Nanguang employee. Camel was a godsend because he could translate for us. Our Mandarin and Cantonese as Guilo was pretty much non-existent. We visited an equipment rental house in Hong Kong with the English name of One Cool Hang. The way rental houses work in Hong Kong is that an empty truck is rented and then carts that are built out for each job get loaded on the truck. In fact, there are a number of companies that provide trucks at a moment's notice, like an Uber service, where you might call a truck to bring your gear to location and then call another one to pick you up and bring you back to the rental house. This trucking service is not only used for film production, but for all kinds of A to B trips. You can also hire a driver with a truck who stays with you for the duration of the shoot. But driver/grips are not really a thing. And what type of speed rail?
这里是42直径的，然后
Looks like 1.5.
42直径是英寸，
公制的
42 centimeter. This is a warehouse for lights.
These are all, what kind of brand are these?
这什么牌子的？
富博还有 Manfoto 都会。
Cooper and Manfoto. They have both Cooper and Manfoto.
Yeah. Plenty. And how high do they go?
他们能升到多高？大概
能升到7米左右，全高的话。
About 7 meters.
7 meters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for light stands here. This section, this whole section is for light stands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The shorty.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. And then here you got frames.
还有那个对
基本上
基板架 diffusion frame.
And you have blade frames. Yeah.
We call it 基板 in Chinese. 基板架基板 yes in Chinese.
Is that diffusion?
Yeah, diffusion.
Yeah. Oh, and you got some light bridge. Maybe.
Also light bridge, yes.
Cool.
一些 LED 的空间。
I see some cables here.
Yes.
And what are the connectors?
它那个接口是什么接头啊？这个
这个是180A 的一个接口。
180N.
180. Wow. Okay. And then
Here, they got a label here.
and then that goes to a distro box.
它会有一些
Distribution
那个电力分配的箱吗？电箱。对 ，Yes, here we have a distributor box here.
Oh yeah. Oh, and you have Camel?
Yes, we have Camel.
Wow. And so then Camelot goes to a box like this, and then this is 180 amp, and what is the blue?
63.
63. And then what's the little
16.
blue? 16.
And then
62 and 32.
Oh wow. Nice. Yep. So this distro box, can we see it? Can you pull one out?
把它弄出来下来看一下。对。
Oh, I see. Okay. So you have the distro in, and then you have the other ones coming out. Yeah. Wow.
No one's got like this in Australia.
Even the biggest, if they put this in Australia.
Really hear this amount of LED. Really old shit.
32 and 16, yes.
And then do you have larger splitters?
这大一点的那个
还是
分线器
会有
63 and 32.
and then you can use the 132.
Yeah, then to 16.
to 16.
Yeah, 全的措施它会跳，自动跳闸之类的。
This is 63 to 16.
Okay. Yeah. So I dropped
You
it.
can check each other.
Yeah, yeah. And then these are
This is 180 to 180.
oh
But
okay.
so then
Yeah.
yeah.
That's just a household.
Yeah,
16 to household.
yeah,
13.
13. Yeah, in the indoor with the wall part, 13.
13. I gotcha. Okay.
So here household
But this
is
is
13.
16, and then this is 13.
13.
Okay.
Yeah. Be careful.
Be careful.
Look, especially you.
Sam and Ken showed us around. As with all rental houses, the newer units get all the attention, and certain older gear is often relegated to shelves a little further back. But every once in a while, somebody wants one.
Kino floor 这是
对
Kino floor。
都这个只是局部的。
这些应该也有毒吧？对，不能这样。
它
随便扔的吧。
You're using these as
For the
space
space
lights?
time, yeah, LED display.
Because in China studio, the height is around 13 to 14 height, and then
13 meters?
yes, they will put there in the top, and then they just have a round light for them, and then we'll have another slide.
Do you have like a silk around
Yes.
it? Yeah.
Yes, we have.
And what are these lights again? What are they called? What's the brand?
这牌子的名字 Laser。
Lazion?
它这个宽也多宽？它刚开始看的是问，
哦，它是多。
可能说
And is it bicolor?
Yes, by the
What country does that come from? China. Yeah. Interesting. And unlike carts we might be used to in North America, Hong Kong carts are configured as cages, like vertical hampers. That way you can fill in all the space in the hired truck. What brand is this cider?
Qingfeng, also a Chinese brand.
At One Cool, we also met French DP Alex Roussel, and he provided our first insights into crew life for those working in Hong Kong. Then we were driven to a studio a short ways out of Hong Kong, where we met Wade, a young gaffer from Shanghai, who was a fan of Andrew's. The set was NDA, but we spent some time watching them work. Wade was using blackout lighting console and was lighting with panels and point source cobs, as we all do. We also met the first AC, but I'm forgetting his name. The next day, we met up with a local Hong Kong gaffer and a number of DPs and directors that had seen our Instagram request to meet up while we were in Hong Kong. John's wife, director Deborah Kampmeyer, also found some kindred spirits. There were so many interesting stories of work in Hong Kong and the mainland, how the experience, the standard hours, and expectations are different from ours in North America and Australia, but also the differences between Hong Kong and the mainland. For instance, a standard day before overtime in Hong Kong is usually based on 9 hours, whereas on the mainland, it's more like 16 hours. But the people we met were upbeat about their work. They truly appreciated their production lives in Hong Kong and mainland China. There was even an expat from Toronto, Canada, who married into the culture and has 2 kids, making a good life for himself as a DP in Shenzhen. We had a wonderful time exchanging notes with this group, just shooting the breeze and recognizing that we had a lot more in common than not. For the last 2 days, the 3 of us experienced different aspects of Hong Kong. I was fortunate enough to spend my time with Eric Wong and his fiancée, Carrie. They played tour guide as we took the old ferry to Hong Kong Island, sporting some adventurous architecture and old-style, narrow, double-decker trams. We rode a train up the steep climb to the peak, took in the view of the harbor from above, ate in little side street eateries where Eric and Carrie made me try their favorite local foods. French toast with a peanut butter middle was one of them. It was all very tasty. We walked through various outdoor markets for hardware, flowers, meats. Vegetables. There were many stalls with dried food as well. Dried fish skin was especially tasty. We even happened upon a production truck. In Hong Kong, the trucks often carry both camera and G&E and provide extra cab space for a number of crew members. At night, I met up one last time with John and Deborah, Andrew and Twee, for a delightful dinner in a swanky hotel that had a stunning view of the harbor and the old-timey junks that zigzagged the channel flying colorful sails. On my last day in Hong Kong, Eric and Carrie picked me up in Eric's Sprinter. I first met Eric in Northern California when he was working for Rebel Sun, a local equipment rental house.
Yeah, 600D, grip, and then electricals.
Yeah.
Shop backs here, and then just lights, Apple box, and random stuff.
When Eric was unable to secure a green card in the States through the existing immigration lottery, he had to return to his native Hong Kong. At first, his ambition had been to build up a combo Sprinter similar to what he had experienced in the San Francisco Bay Area. But the more he came to understand the way things work in Hong Kong, it was clear he'd need to alter his plans.
A lot of the lifts in Hong Kong, they don't. Some of them have a switch that you would hold the door for cargo loading and unloading. This doesn't, and the way you hold it is.
Oh my goodness.
And you just
jam that in, and that stays in the lift
yeah, this thing lives here,
for everybody.
and it's just the random cargo in the tie down thing. That's how they do it.
I love it.
Sometimes they shove cardboard into this.
Wow.
That's the hold down button.
Instead, he built out a Sprinter with a box on the back that fits in the truck parking garages in the city.
Why don't you do the honor?
Oh yeah.
All you have to do is press this button, and then the gate would tilt down. Yeah, go for it. You have to hold it though. How was that parking for an Asian driver?
I love it. It's amazing. Yeah, you're so tight.
好彩有老婆啫，我俾人收緊音啊！
Thing is not common in Hong Kong.
Oh.
So as the register with directly the E-track buckle is not common.
So what's common? Just a loop.
Just this hook, and also the other type would be a metal hook, but the idea is to do this.
Oh, no kidding.
So over time, it would get bent and damaged.
Right.
But that's how they do it.
The cab has extra room for crew, and the back of the box uses the lift gate combined with a top flap to act as the back door. The box stays empty and then gets loaded with Eric's own gear when he works as a gaffer, or with gear from one of the local rental houses when Eric works as the driver and stays with the truck. Because like any large city, parking is hard to come by around town. Fun fact, I think Eric has the only 2 backstage carts in Hong Kong, complete with American grip C-stands. They do look very smart, I must say. And before we visited a seaside town with its quaint, narrow, fisher village streets and busy fishermen selling their freshly caught wares,
出唔到噶啦，唔係幾定係出唔到啊？有底噶啦。
we dropped in on the open house of another equipment rental facility called Cinerent. Cinerent is also connected to the lighting manufacturer Film Gear. I had known Film Gear from their copies of popular tungsten and HMI lighting units. Now they are offering units that look almost identical to Cream Source when you look at them from the front, and quite similar to the SkyPanel X when you look at them from the back. Cinerent has plenty of inventory from many different manufacturers. All the usual suspects.
This would be the Hong Kong version of a Q-tap actually.
Yep.
This would be it. And this is 16 amps.
For 16 amps.
16 amps, yeah. 頭先好 amazing， 哇！全部都藍光，正。呢度你搬落嚟搬咗成個月都未搬完。正常啦，咁多嘢，大佬擺咗咁多年嗰度。22年啦。啊，
淨係嗰度都20嘢。
Oh.
And what do we got here? All kinds of
The lighting grip,
都係你嘅
Camel.
The lily.
Carolinis.
Yeah.
End jaw and center jaw.
Yeah, angel, center jaw, mouth
Clamps.
It's the offset.
And then these are fun.
Great clamps. To get on the light bar.
Light bar from the
Yeah, but it has an interesting jaw on it.
Yeah.
It's adjustable.
Yeah.
This one. You can adjust it and then clamp it down. And you can pan the light with the light locked in already. A separate mechanism. This would hold the light and this can pan it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
These are the safe pin from the light in this one.
Yep, and you got a baby pin as well.
Yeah.
And a few items made locally in Hong Kong.
These are made in Hong Kong. Yeah, there was a guy called Master Guan. He would make this.
This is a C-stand with some seriously long legs. And I got an Ussie with someone who recognized me. So here's my anecdotal summary of our time in mainland China and Hong Kong. First off, wow. I no longer have FOMO about China, but I still have plenty of imposter syndrome. We were treated so well. The family vibe at Nanguang is real. So for that, Nancy, Andy, Shirley, Risa, and Camel, thank you. You were excellent hosts. Does this mean I'll never talk smack about Nanguang? Come on, I have a hard time talking smack about anybody. Manufacturing is hard. Look at the news. Light gear just became part of the Chauvet, Campsys, Kinoflow family. It's tough to keep up. There are so many forces that can push you off course. Look at Mole Richardson. They were a leader in tungsten. They were early adopters of square wave ballast tech for HMIs. And they jumped into LEDs with both feet. But it's a fickle industry, and sometimes downright cruel. So to anyone who is getting into the game or is still in the game, I tip my hat to you. Now, I'm no economist, nor am I an expert on global manufacturing. But it seems like many lighting manufacturers in the Western world are hurting. I've watched the US government bail out banks in the financial sector. We give a lot of handouts to oil producers. And it seems like there are subsidies regularly available for farming because we have to eat. But outside of the nascent Build Back Better Act, I'm not familiar with a lot of government help for lighting manufacturers. And it's not just about cheap labor. Sure, China has access to a lot of people from rural areas who jump at the chance to make a better salary at a company that also provides room and board. But there's more to it than that. For one, China has high-speed rail that can move goods around very quickly. China can leapfrog some technologies, like for electric cars, because they don't have vast inventories of legacy versions of the tech that need to be incorporated into the mix. Every country has points in their history when they are better able to take advantage of global trends. As the US veers towards a quixotic form of belligerent isolationism, Chinese companies are well positioned to lead in many areas, especially as they shift more and more from copying what others are making to innovating, coming up with creative solutions based on experience and customer input. This is happening in a big way, and we got an eye-opening glimpse of it during our trip. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time. As you can see, we ate pretty well on this trip. Soon after we returned to Hong Kong, Eric and Carrie took us out to a sprawling outdoor street restaurant, off the beaten path and in the shadow of an apartment complex. The service was slow, but the company was great. And then we walked off the meal by climbing hundreds of steps up a hill/park with a stunning view of Kowloon at night. On the day we went sightseeing to Hong Kong Island, we had lunch in a Thai restaurant. Later that day, we had the French toast with the peanut butter, and at night the fancy hotel dinner. The next day, after visiting Cinerent, we drove out to a seaside town and got a miracle spot for the truck.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Only for one.
I'm gonna give you a big high five once I've parked.
Carrie found a bakery with this muffin-like treat. Then we briefly stopped at a hole-in-the-wall storefront that whipped up these 3 dishes. Then Carrie found another bakery that sold these mini custard pies. And after some more wandering, we ended up at a tea shop and probably ate something, but I forget what. And then we left the seashore, drove around all over until early evening, when again we found a unicorn parking spot and landed in a small eatery Eric or Carrie knew about, where you filled leaves with different kinds of food, like it was a pita pocket. So good. One thing you see a lot on the mainland and in Hong Kong are older buildings without central AC, and therefore a lot of retrofit air conditioning units. People must be very adept at reaching awkwardly out windows to install these things. It did make me wonder how often an accidental drop occurs. And with all the ongoing construction, you notice that most of the scaffolding is put together with bamboo and plastic strapping. All kinds of different diameter poles, too. But bamboo is not necessarily a durable material. It gets brittle, which means it's probably only good for one use. Thankfully, it grows quickly and is very plentiful. This was on Hong Kong Island, and it was like an Instagram spot. So you've got the models on the left and the photographers on the right. And lastly, there are the squat toilets. This was on the mainland. Not everywhere, but they could be found in both rural and urban spaces. You need to be flexible and have strong leg muscles, because there's nothing really to hold on to. And you need to be ready to clean up after yourself with a bucket. All good skills for me to retain for that next visit to Asia.